lot of our clients these days are concerned with boosting employee engagement and reducing employee burnout. For the purposes of this conversation, we'll talk about employee burnout as the experiential opposite of employee engagement, where engagement involves employees being energetic in how they accomplish their work and putting in their discretionary energy into accomplishing their work tasks with excellence. The problem that we see with a lot of our clients who are concerned with employee burnout is that they've waited until it's potentially too late to address the issue. Many clients and many organizations who are trying to reverse employee burnout wait until their employees look more like the matches on the right-hand side of the slide, at which point research shows it's very difficult to reverse the effects of burnout once your people are already depleted of much of their energy resources. Instead, we at McChrystal Group recommend that clients work to preserve engagement and reduce burnout while their employees still look a lot closer to the matches on the left-hand side of this graph, and there's still energy there to preserve. What we're going to do is take a look at a previous client that McChrystal Group worked with where we were able to catch issues of employee engagement early before it spiraled and help the client reverse the trend of burnout that was starting within their organization. This client actually brought McChrystal Group in to help with operational issues that they were having. Engagement was very much a secondary concern for this client because their scores on their engagement survey, etc., were not yet to the point where this client found it to be concerning. The scores were still good. So, in order to help this client with initially operational issues, McChrystal Group surveyed their leadership, their directors and up, and asked about both engagement and about the ways in which they accomplish their work. One of the things that we asked those leaders about was the primary determinants of how they spend their time. Those leaders could choose things like the established schedule within their function, priorities given to them by their executives, their own choices, etc. But instead of any of those options, what we often saw the primary determinant for these leaders was addressing immediate problems that arise. In other words, the directors and up of this organization were very reactive in how they spent their time. Most of them were saying that their time was dominated by firefighting immediate problems. When we dug deeper into why we might be seeing this trend with this client, the biggest correlate that we found was whether or not those leaders understood how to action the strategy. Specifically, when leaders said that they felt the strategy was actionable, those leaders were 2 times less likely to have their time determined by addressing immediate problems that arise. We did follow-up interviews with many leaders to understand more about why we were seeing this trend and why there was this relationship between the 2 survey questions. And what we found out was that leaders who understood their role and their team's role in actioning the strategy were better able to prioritize their tasks and were better able to either delegate or deprioritize immediate problems that came up that weren't as directly in support of accomplishing their teams and their organization's strategy. Taking a look at some of the follow-on effects of this reactivity, on the horizontal axis here, we surveyed about 4 layers of leadership. So the layers of leadership are what's represented on the horizontal axis. The bars represent the proportion of those leaders who said that they always or very often receive appropriate notice and lead time to accomplish important projects. And as we would expect to see based on the reactivity of this organization, you can see there's very low agreement that they have that appropriate notice and lead time. None of these bars break the 40% agreement mark. But then when we layer in engagement scores and specifically look at the percentage of respondents who said that when they are hard at work, they feel energetic, what we can see is an unexpected correlation between these 2 survey questions. As I said, this client was not at this time concerned with engagement because the scores weren't too bad. The average score here for the percentage of employees or leaders who said that they feel energetic when they do their work is about 65%. But you can see that layers of leadership that have even less notice and lead time for accomplishing their projects have a corresponding dip in how energetic they feel when accomplishing their work. The reason for this being that when leaders are not able to prioritize which tasks or which problems are most important to address in order to support the company objectives, and that leads to a situation where people aren't getting the notice and lead time that they need. Dealing with that repeatedly, month after month or year after year, will eventually grind down the energy levels of employees who are scrambling to accomplish tasks without enough time or to address immediate problems. And this, over time, will erode the engagement of employees and increase the burnout as people become less and less energetic in dealing with these organizational challenges. Because we caught the problem early with this client, what we were able to do is work with them to establish better strategy alignment, specifically so that leaders and teams under those leaders understood the objectives and the metrics that were important for them to accomplish in support of the organizational strategy, so that they could prioritize what tasks and immediate problems required their direct attention, and just as importantly, but more difficult to accomplish, they could deprioritize or delegate tasks or problems that were less important for accomplishing the overall strategy. Doing this not only improved the organizational operations, but also helped preserve the engagement and energy levels of the employees and helped get ahead of issues of burnout.